Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Lygia here with your 6-month reading for July through December 2025. It's a little bit late, sorry about that, but that said, we are in some very interesting energies at this time. In fact, very chaotic, very potent, and we're going to be staying in this for probably until the end of the year at the very least. I hate to say that, but that's the truth. You're probably going to be finding that from astrologers as well. You're seeing this, or maybe even from other card readers, other oracles. You're going to find that we're all saying pretty much very similar things about the energies. And they all have to do with the astrological aspects and so forth. Plus the fact that we are changing on such a huge level right now as humanity starts to grow even that much more in their evolution and as a whole. So we are basically all moving together. And throughout that, let's just go let's go back to the basics here. It's about Mother Earth. And basically, Mother Earth is that which is changing. And along with her, the whole cosmos is changing because we're all one. We're all part of the same energy space. And that said, when she changes, then that means that everything on top of her changes at the same time. And that means plants, the animals, anything sentient. So this is a very iconic time period. We're going to see this probably ramping up within the next year as well. And I would assume that it's probably going to be within the next 3 or 4 years. So that takes us to 2030. And that is also a very predictive strange year for many people to look ahead at, but we're not going to look that far. We're just going to look at the next 6 months at the moment. So I've picked out the cards from my card deck. So we're using my card deck here. Take Back Your Power Oracle Guidance cards. And I wanted to just mention a little tidbit about that. Oh, by the way, if you see the little butterfly there, that's actually not on there. I just put a little sticker there to remind me when I was on tour that this is the card deck amongst the many that we have on display that I would be reading from. So that said, I just wanted to say a little tidbit about that. I am looking at the moment into distribution across Canada. And at the moment, we're looking into who's there and what we could do and what kind of the logistics behind it. Plus, this is new to me because the self-publishing is brand spanking new to me. And I'm kind of doing it on my own, figuring things out. The tour, I should mention, the Galaxy Psychic Tours was fantastic when it came to the cards and getting to know people. There are a lot of really, really cool people out there. And I consider the other readers and the vendors that I worked with like family. So it's difficult being away from them right now. That said, we're basically, this card deck was, I get emotional thinking about it too, actually. It sold so well. We had 500 copies at the very beginning. And basically by halfway through the tour, we had sold out. So, so we had to do an emergency delivery or emergency shipment. And we managed to get that. And I had basically, it all said and done throughout this entire time, we sold likely a little bit over 700 decks. And that includes, we have 11 vendors or 11 stores across Canada that are now selling the deck. So this is fantastic. And where you will find that is on my website, takebackyourpower.live. So I will be updating the website. The website has not been updated because I've been back and just chilling out for the last week, trying to get caught up on some gardening and things like this because we left in the winter and we came back in the summer. So that said, it'll be out for people. And if you are interested in purchasing this deck, 44 cards in here are going to be, each of these cards are going to have a guided meditation, by the way. So that is another thing I'm working on. So basically we are, I'm definitely busy this summer. That's for sure. And that said, if you'd like to purchase this deck, please contact me through the website. I'm also looking into shipping across Canada at the moment before we find the distributor. So I can basically send one to you or send something out. So let me know. Takebackyourpower.live on my website so that I don't just do a contact sheet, and or if you know me, send me a text message or call me or email me, info@takebackyourpower.live, and that will start the ball rolling for me to get you a deck. So that said, let's start off with July. Okay, I've picked the cards. I haven't actually looked at them, so let's look at them together. July is control. All right. So what I'm seeing here is that we are in this stage, I believe, of having the thought of losing control. And it's not necessarily the truth. We are not losing control of anything because we always had control. We had control of ourselves. We had control of the way that the energy that is coming in from spirit is coming in or not. We could basically, if we react to something or if we have overwhelming emotions, that will start to impede the flow of the energy and let go of control. And that is how that is basically what this is talking about. But also knowing that if we are over controlling something, especially in our lives at the moment too, we only have control over what we can do something about. And if it turns out that we are unable to physically actively do something about an event going on, the chaotic events that are going on out there, then what we want to do is be able to have an energetic output, because that is something we can do. Every last one of us has the capability of doing that. And we are able to send that energy out to where it needs to go, where it needs to be seen and be felt. So that said, this card represents, in July especially, we're going to find that we're going to need to let go of the control to spirit. Basically, there are more opportunities. I'd say that there are probably going to be a lot of events. I'm seeing more earth-like events, so earthquakes, tsunamis, water involved, flooding, fires, just an amping of that. And if that is the case, it will cause difficulties, of course, in everyone's lot, and everyone who's impacted their lives. Plus the grief that we feel for them as well, especially if there's family members and friends that are affected. That said, this is the opportunity to let go of your own control to spirit. What does that look like? This means intention, sending out intention, prayer, meditation, just talking to your guides, talking to spirit, and asking for any guidance that helps you to maintain or pull in the action that you need to take. And if that action is energetic, then you do that. If there's something that you can do, that's great. But this is letting me know that July is going to be it's going to be a tumultuous type of month. And knowing that we have to let go of that control. If we have, say, for example, an individual basis, if you feel that you are over controlling something, whether it's over controlling a person, which is not a good thing in the first place. Don't try, because the karma is really terrible. That said, if you are basically over controlling a situation or micro controlling any particular situation in your life, surroundings, projects, other situations in work. And this might appeal to those who are in the managerial and supervisory positions. Do yourself a favor and don't do that. The reason why I say that is the consequences are more intense by your employees, the outcome of what your intentions are. I think when I think of this, I think of hostile takeovers. I think of the not so great situations that come from that, because people start to not like you and they don't like the corporation, they don't like the business, the outcome that happens, and there will be pushback. So we're going to see that likely in the world. So that also coincides with the astrological aspect. So I encourage you to go to an astrologer and or watch videos upon that, because there's going to be a lot of I say outcries / rebellion, I suppose is what the word is, against anything that feels like you are being over controlled. So this is humanity's step up, I suppose you could say, for justice. And if this is the case, then you'll notice that there will be more difficulties. There might be more butting of heads, more leaders that are throwing out comments that are very biting and looking towards the warlike situations. That said, when you hear that, if you get fearful about it, if you feel that it's overrunning you at that time, take a step back and away from the media. By the way, if that's the case too, if it's really affecting you, take a step back away from it. Don't look at that. Don't bother with any of the social media that's out there. Don't talk to anybody about politics or anything else, and just be yourself. Go into doing what makes you tick. Your passions, your hobbies, doing some downsizing, getting rid of things out of your life that don't need to be there anymore. So that is what you have control over, is letting go of things that you don't need in your life. And that could be people, that could be, and I stress that'll probably be objects. So a lot of things around you, that will be objects, and your physical environment needs to be cleaned up. So that said, once you start to clean up your physical environment, and I'm no exception, then you will notice that there'll start to be some cleaning up in the world, and that's the word I'm going to use, or words I'm going to use. That the cleaning up will happen. It starts with you first, and then the rest after. But that is control. That is you taking back the control that you have in your life already. It's just taking it back. Okay. So that's for July. It's a big July. Then we've got August, and August is spirituality. Okay, so we come back to this. There's a lot of play within this as well. I want you to take note that the powers that are trying to control will also tap into aspects of spirituality, or what is deemed as spirituality, which could be the fine line into religion, as well as those with belief systems, and they will try to manipulate it. This is August. Spirituality, though, is your unique take on it. It's your unique perspective, your belief systems, and this is basically saying, let's hone those belief systems in a more, the word I'm getting is congealing way. So in other words, fortify that spirituality. Go back to it. What July is going to bring is a whole set of upheaval. And then in August, this is where people will start to look into that side of them that is all about belief, the belief systems that they have about what helps them get through life, what helps and supports you to get through life. So that is that. In August, I believe we're coming back to that. But also because of that, the powers that are trying to control will also try to manipulate spirituality in some way. So that might be on the outskirts of things globally, but at the same time, don't let that happen. Again, you have control. Spirituality is that part of us that is the belief in something that in a higher power that guides us. That's basically what it is. If it doesn't matter who believes in what, okay, I'm going to say this 100%. This is where religions of the world have overstepped, I believe. And I'm going to come out and say it. Basically, they've overstepped other people's belief systems. And in that sense, it doesn't mean that I'm not against it. I'm saying that basically just be open, just be yourself, and just know that there is a higher power, period. Whatever you call it, whatever, universe, source, God, whatever, you're believing in that higher power that helps you get through life, helps you get through this life, helps you in support, protects you, gets you into your understanding that you have an intuition. That intuition is God, or into your universe, the source. It is that part of you that helps you get through life. So this is where people are going to start to come back to that and realize that in August, there's something greater going on than you could ever imagine. And it all ties in together. So we start to maybe come together in groups, in specialized groups as a possibility that pull together their intentions, their prayers for better things to happen in the world and better things to happen in their environments. So that's August. Again, pretty potent and powerful. Now, September, we have 2 cards. So let's see what both of them are, and then we'll kind of talk about each one of them. So the first one we have is abundance. Nice. It's a nice favorable one after a couple of kind of crazy months, right? So September is abundance and bliss. All right. So we have, I'm going to just plop these like this. So we have, let me do this. Camera's so weird. So the abundance and bliss. Now, that said, we have the opportunity in September to realize that we've gone through a lot of crap, right? So that would be throughout the probably the 7 or 8 months of this year. And we're now entitled to the abundance and bliss that comes to us. Now, that said, I want to make note of that part. It's not without action. We have to change our minds. We have to change our perspectives of what we want in our lives in order to achieve bliss. Abundance is always there for us. Abundance in all ways. It's abundance in the positive and abundance in the negative, should we want that. Now, that said, it's what we put out there. Bliss is that part of us that is enlightenment. So note in August, we've got spirituality. And that is coming back to that part of us that is really known to help us get to that point of abundance as well, and knowing and remembering that we are abundant in all ways. In bliss, we are also tapping into that inner side of us that has been that immortal. So literally that part that is in our DNA that we have been through in all incarnations, karma that has been resolved in past incarnations coming through, so that we can start to become more and more aware of joyful situations. That also shows a little bit of a plateau, something that kind of eases the pain and chaos and ridiculousness that has been going on throughout our North American summer. And so if anything, July and August, or at least from July, we're now trying to get to this point of September where it allows us to recuperate a little bit. So that said, the abundance and bliss is there for you, but you have to do a little bit of actions to get there. And I'm, again, no exception. So my action is to get back on social media. I've taken a bit of a break because I didn't know how to actually figure things out, where to go, which social media platforms I should use in order to try and get the deck out there, etc., etc. I'm learning a lot about that. But that said, it's basically you recognizing that there's a way of tackling abundance and bringing abundance to you in the right form. If you put out there negativity, you're going to get an abundance of negativity. That's just what it is. Like attracts like. That is one of the universal laws. That is the law of attraction. So we tend to put out there what we want to get back in our lives. And in this case, I'm saying in September, if we put out there that the glass is half full, we're going to get back the abundance that comes that is there for us, that has always been there for us. It'll also raise our spirits into that joyful blissful state. So that said, we're moving into a better form, a better recuperative form from the summer. Okay, so that's September. Now, October, we have devotion. Okay, so this is now coming back to a focus. I believe what I can see the story here where we're coming from a place of, holy crap, this is crazy. I don't know what to do. Oh my gosh, I've got to go back to my roots. I've got to go back to doing what I was doing before, recognizing it and knowing that there's a higher power, and to be able to set my intentions and prayers to that higher power so that we can work together in co-creation to get to where we need to go, and where you would like to go into a joyful state, which comes next. And that's that rise into that joyful state once you've actually really practiced that movement into knowing that you're not alone, that you have support. And now into devotion, you have this capability of basically looking back at what you've done, pulling all of the tools in your toolbox back into this particular time so that you can find the focus. So devotion is about focusing on what needs to be literally your life mission. So if that is the case, then that means that we're coming back to that state. We're recognizing that we're going to be in that position of I am devoted to my mission. And what that looks like is basically your passion. So like I said, bringing all the tools that you have actually learned. So everything that you've learned in school, when you've basically been in the entrepreneur, if you're an entrepreneur, working in a corporation, what you did, all the skills that you've learned over your life, you're going to bring that to this time period. So this is now October, and this is also the opportunity to do that too. In some cases, people are at all different levels, right? So basically in this case, this is this opportunity to bring everything together and work in or do what your mission is with passion. So example, as a reader and an intuitive, I was doing my absolute passion by going on the tour and helping others, speaking with others and using my intuition to help them, using the messages from the deck to help them, because I chiefly used my deck to do readings. So this was paramount, and this was something that I totally enjoy doing. Plus, I'm making a living as well while doing it. So that said, your devotion is to that, and it is to your passion. The passion is always going to be there because Spirit is not going to put you on a mission that you don't like. Most of the times you're going to enjoy it. There have been missions in the past where somebody has to sacrifice themselves. And at the very end of it all, when they get to that position, they actually know, when they're actually in that dying state, strangely enough, they actually know why they did what they did. They see the life before their eyes. That's what the life review is, the quick human life review that happens here before you pass away. You find out why you did all the things you did, and then you reach that peacefulness stage because you recognize that, hey, you know what? I did this. I did this for humanity. I did this because I knew that it would evolve, that my soul would evolve. So that said, not to say that that's going to happen, it's just saying that your mission is going to involve your passion. So that said, let's go into November. And November is the universe. Okay. So, I got chills with this one. November is going to be a turnaround point. What I see here is that the universe is going to kick in, and it's going to kick butt. I love it. I love it. And I'm going to use that. The universe is kicking in and kicking butt. So that said, it means that we are in a state of, how do we say that? High revolution, high vibration. Throughout the year, we've actually been rising in our vibration, our energetic vibration. And by that time in November, we're going to see the turnaround point is all the chaos, all the truth that has been coming out, globally and internally is going to come to a culmination. That's what I'm kind of getting at. And how timely is it that it's going to be in November, just before the end of the year? So that said, the universe is going to kick back to those who are making other people struggle. And that's why I say it's going to kick butt. So that said, we're going to see some really beautiful things happening as we go into 2026. Now, that said, we're also going to see some revolutions. And in revolutions, it's not always comfortable. So it's possible that we might see some uncomfortable situations or uncomfortable changes or transitions that are happening in that point. It could be, like I say, revolution, because of the fact that it is going to be in things where we've never seen these things before. And dare I say that the cosmos is going to come in and actually maybe intervene, so that we might see some intervention happening as well. So if that is the case, then we're going to recognize that we're going into a new year with a totally different perspective, a totally different set of tools, and a totally different clean slate. That's what I'm going to kind of look at. Clean slate. We might even just see that December's going to be starting that. So what I would recommend is checking your astrological chart, checking the astrology for November as well, and seeing where the astrological aspects are, or the planets are, and see how does that reflect upon you, because the transitions will happen in those areas of your life that will be the most transformative, the place that you need to deal with. Let's just put it that way. The places that you need to deal with. Because if you haven't dealt with it already, it's coming around and it's going to be dealt with. And so the universe is kicking butt, because once you get out of it, that's it. You don't have to deal with it again. If that has to do with the financial situation, because that seems to be the hugest thing for a lot of people, right? The finances is, when we look at this from the chakra point of view, it's our root. And the root's the base of the spine. The root chakra or energy system is at the base of the spine. It is red. It's with the color red, basically, or coincides with the color red. And that frequency is basically us looking at the physical plane of existence and transcending that. We have the opportunities. We see that in August with spirituality. We see that in September with abundance and bliss. And then we get back to this devotion of our mission, because there's a great possibility that over these last 6 years or 5 years, we have been derailed, and or our mind's been taken off of our mission. It's been a ruse, if you want to call it that. It has been distraction. Huge distraction. And that's where devotion comes in, because by the time we reach that state of devotion in October, that means that, okay, enough with the distractions. We're going back to this mission. We have to get back on track. And the mission for humanity is to rise in its consciousness. So that said, the universe takes power here in November and says, those people that are, or the powers that are trying to control and or things that are happening within the world, that is putting a blanket on human evolution, or even Earth evolution and revolution. That's not going to happen anymore. Let's look at something totally different. Let's clean the slate. So that said, the planets are also kind of aligning and letting us know they're the real the real predictors in this whole situation, when you see what's going on with the planets. So that said, let's look at December, the last month of the year before we go into 2026, and that is truth. Okay, so I believe in this case, like, once again, got chills. So what I see with this is that it's not just about the truth of yourself and what is the truth of what you want in your life, but it's also about the fact that there's some really big truths that are going to come out there. And I see like life-changing truths within the world. This is global. This is that part of us that is global. So the truth, we've been seeing little bits of truths coming out. And with the truth, though, you've been seeing distraction. Truth, distraction. Truth, distraction. There's so many things out there in the media that there's just, there's not enough time to actually put your attention to it. because then you completely lose track of what you're supposed to do in your life. I'm just saying. That said, the truths of things that we have not in this last 10,000 years, we haven't actually looked at certain truths. We haven't been privy to certain truths in that time period. That's going to come out, and it's going to be life altering, life transformational. Dare I say that we will find even that much more about the otherworldlies or non-physicals. I believe that the non-physical side, so those beyond the veil, will also proceed to help us within the next 6 months. And that said, we might see, that might be that part of our spiritual gifts that are coming out, that we will start to see that within our lives. We'll start to get to know our loved ones that have crossed over a little bit better. We might get messages from that other side. Our intuition will be rising like no one's business. So we're going to sense other things, and it won't be just physical. It won't be just within this world. We might become more aware of the plants and the animals that are out there, and actually be able to have some more communication with the plants and animals, because we're moving towards a more unity consciousness. And that means unity of all sentient beings. And sentience does not just exist on this physical plane. Sentience exists even that much more on the non-physical plane. So it's going to be a mesh into that, and we're going to see the truth of that part coming into play. Now, I also caution that where there's a play, there's a counterplay. Okay, so in this case, the play for the truth, the absolute 100% truth of the way that the cosmos works, the way that the universe guides us with physicals and non-physicals, is also going to be counteracted by those who don't want to show the truth, those who do not like the truth. And if that is the case, then there will be disruption. There will be the possibility of, dare I say, aliens? And that said, be very cautious about what comes out. Be very cautious about what kind of onus you put on the media and listening to news. Go with your intuition. And by that time, a lot of us will basically be using our own intuition because our intuition knows the truth. The internal part of us knows the truth. Okay? So that's going to be a pretty interesting 6 months. I'll tell you that much. It's going to be life packed. So we have a lot going on, and there's a lot going on in each and every one of your lives. So I also mentioned that if you ever need support, like physical support, that is somebody, a person to talk with, you have people around you that love you, that support you. And then there's, of course, spirit that is there. You could speak out loud and know that you're being heard. That's energy that's going out there, and you are being heard. Ask and ye shall receive, 100%. Plus, if you need to talk to somebody who knows a little bit or kind of has honed a little bit more of her intuition, send me a message, send me a line, and we'll get together on Zoom and chat about things and see if there's anything that I can help you with. Okay? So that said, I hope you have a wonderful, abundant, and blissful 6-month period, not taking life so dang seriously and having some fun, because we're meant to have fun. We're meant to be in a joyful state. So that said, thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you so much for looking at the first 6 months that I have, as well as this new 6 months, and dedicating that time for yourself and self-care as well, taking time for self-care. And also, if you want to see and know a little bit more about what's coming up with my card deck launch and so forth, please go to my website, takebackyourpower.live. And either send me a line if you want a deck, or basically just check out the number of stores that are taking the deck right now that you can go to and purchase if you so desire. Okay? So thank you again for watching, and we will see you in the next video.